Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another third-party unlicensed 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review. Today we are taking a look at 108 Toys Death God, aka Darkseid, based off its appearance in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now I got mine from toyswonderland.com. Do bear in mind though, this is a third-party, unlicensed, unofficial figure. I have popped the link in the description below for your reference purposes only. After all, this isn't a promotional video, this is a review on a figure I picked up for my own personal collection. While you are down in the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon and join button so you're notified as soon as a brand new review goes live on the channel. As for the box art, yes, this is unlicensed, but clearly they're not worried about Mr. Law, cause down below, plain as day, Darkseid. Front and center, an image of the figure in this ominous red silhouette with maybe some blood splatter in the background, then up top, 108 Toys. On the side, you cheeky devils, Darkseid once again, plus another 108 Toys logo. On the back of the box, I really like this artwork. It's an image of the figure with, once again, some more ominous redness, Darkseid, plus a couple of warnings and legal info. Lifting off the top cover, even more artwork. I'm pretty surprised to see all of these images. I mean, the graphic design here alone is pretty impressive. Another image of the figure, this time firing his Omega beams. Down below, Darkseid and 108 Toys, plus those same warnings from the top cover. Back around the front, underneath that top cover once again. This has to be my favorite piece of artwork here. It's the figure, arms behind his back, a classic Darkseid pose. Down below Darkseid, his eyes are glowing, and in the background, a bunch of comic book style dots. I've been fighting the urge to mention this already, but y'all can tell the box is huge. And no worries about him being protected during shipping. This chunky piece of foam, very protective. Plus, Darkseid himself, he's no slouch when it comes to height. He takes up pretty much the entire thing. First in-hand impressions of the Death God. Well, we have a little bit of a problem. More on that later on. What we are going to do now is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Normally we would start off with the display base first, but unfortunately he doesn't have one. He would need a very sizable display base granted, cause like I just said before, Darkseid himself is massive. He does come with this double-sided spear, and the paint applications are really good. There's some metallic red shading so it looks like it's glowing. There's metallic silver, plus some black wash in the crevices. The only issue here is the plastic it's made of. It feels very lightweight and very cheap. I was hoping this would be die-cast, but it almost feels like dollar store plastic. Plus, up the top, the blades, they're not sharp at all, they're really blunt. I reckon that most of the budget went into the brand new body for Darkseid, cause yes, even third-party companies, they have budgets. Now, he does come with two different head sculpts. This one is the more stoic of the two. I absolutely love the expression, and the likeness to Darkseid I think is on point. For the very little of him that we actually saw. He's got the scowl, he's got the furrowed brow, the skin texture is beautifully sculpted, and there's some dry brushing on the surface. Then for the armor component, I dig the silver dry brushing, plus the washes in the crevices, but like I said earlier, there's still one small problem. I'm not quite ready to give that away just yet, it's coming up in a second. Second head sculpt, see what I did there? Moving on, this head sculpt is way angrier, his scowl is even bigger, and his teeth, they're showing. The teeth are all individually painted, and so too are the gums. Now the flames for his Omega beams, they're getting ready to fire. They just look like normal fire. As far as I'm aware, in the film, and in DC Comics continuities, the Omega beams, they're supposed to be red, not orange. So something quite clearly was lost in translation. At the very least, they are darker orange towards the eyes and a little bit lighter for the flames at the end. They're also rubbery plastic. On the underside, you can see there's an on and off switch, because this head sculpt does have a light up feature. Although it's not very bright. Yes, I literally just flick the switch and you can barely see the faintest little flicker of light. On the underside, you can see that LED is super bright. I reckon the issue probably is this plastic is a little bit too thick, which means that the light, unfortunately, just doesn't pass through super easily. Now, we do get a full array of hands, and the sculpt work is really impressive. It's just the paint applications that let them down. We've got vein work, we've got skin texture, wrinkling on the knuckles, even some fingernails, and the palms. Once again, sculpting is on point. But what do I mean about the lackluster paint applications? Well, I like the washes and this greenish tinge on the high spots, but where's the dry brushing? I mean, you literally just saw a ton of dry brushing on the head sculpt, but it's completely absent from the hands. Will that be a problem with the body? Oh, we will have to wait and see. What we are going to do now, though, is get Darkseid himself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. And you know what? For a villain from a failed DC film universe, potentially a little bit too soon, I'm so sorry, this guy has the P word. Presence, and he has it in spades. He's big, he's imposing, and he is beefy as hell. The proportions get a tick from me. Armor sculpt, another tick. The skin, tick yet again, and even that head sculpt from a distance, oh, it looks like Darkseid. Although, the one big issue and potential showstopper, his armor is the wrong color. I don't know if 108 Toys were watching the Justice's grey version of Zack Snyder's Justice League, but in the normal version of the film, and for the Queen Studios statue, and for the McFarlane Toys Darkseid, the armor has been metallic blue. It's supposed to be blue. If only they'd done the exact same sculpt with metallic blue paint apps and silver dry brushing on the surface, this guy would be a no-brainer. But as it stands, I know we're early on in the video. Potentially there's another version on the horizon that's way more accurate. This guy just isn't. Up close and personal, kicking things off with Darkseid's head sculpt, the more neutral one. We will pop on the Omega Beam head sculpt in just a second. Now, I know, we've discussed both head sculpts in the accessories segment. I like them there, and I like them here too. But it's worth noting, it fits on the body really well. It doesn't sit too high, and it doesn't sit too low either. Now, unfortunately, there is a skin tone mismatch between the body and the head sculpt, but I reckon that's just down to the dry brushing. For some reason on the body, there is no dry brushing, whereas on the head sculpts, there's a ton. Not a huge deal for me personally, but if it is for you, then now you know. You may be screaming at your screen saying, Justin, what the hell, why is it not a deal breaker? The head should absolutely match the body. Yes, I'm right there with you, but if it's just a matter of doing some dry brushing on a figure I'm already going to custom paint anyway, dry brushing is super easy. It doesn't take a lot of time and doesn't take a lot of skill. I reckon I should be able to match the skin tones pretty well. Now, this head sculpt is way meaner than the other one. He's got the grimace, he's got the flames, and yes, the LEDs are turned on. Although, unfortunately, they're not super bright. Now, like I said earlier, I don't know which one I'm going to go with. I like them both equally. I am tempted to pick up a second Darkseid, because, spoiler alert, this armor comes off. If I hadn't have just told you that, you probably wouldn't have known, because all of the seams are very well integrated. You can't really see any gaps at all. The paint applications are good. I dig the silver dry brushing. It's nice and metallic. And the sculpt work with all the texture is stunning. It's craggly, it's cracked. It looks like battle-damaged armor. If only it was blue. I'm not sure how many times is too many times to mention the blue armor thing. I'm pretty sure you all already know by now. I've hammered that point home, so I'll try my best not to mention it again. But no promises. Up front we have the Omega symbol, the traps are this softer rubber, and on the one side we've got the gash, so it's accurate to the movie. He obtained this wound battling Zeus and Ares, plus the Green Lantern that was there and the various champions of Earth. We've got washes in the crevices, which is a good thing because there are a ton of crevices. It looks like multiple panels fused together, but it isn't. It's one hard-sculpted piece of plastic. There's some silver dry brushing on the surface, and a subtle tinge of purple just here and there. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be rust or blood or something else entirely, but I like the fact there are multiple colors. It makes it look a little bit less boring. Not that he really needs any help with that anyway, it's Darkseid for crying out loud. In 1/6 scale, he brings the presence by sheer awesomeness alone. Up the top, at the shoulders, unfortunately, there's a bit of a step down. Now I'm pretty sure when we take the armor off, that step down will be lessened, but it probably still will be there, because I'm fairly certain it's there for articulation. He does have an exposed joint at the elbow. Yes, it's ugly. Yes, I wish it was seamless, but if you bend the arm, it's not all that visible. The sculpt work for the skin texture is awesome. It looks like pulled skin over his bulging bicep. We've got some vein work, and it's very craggly. I have used the adjective craggly way too many times, I'm sorry. The paint applications, though, they kinda let this guy down. The sculpt work is good, but the paint is boring. We've got washes, we've got some lighter colours on the high spots, but where's the dry brushing? It would have been so easy to run a grey paint with a dry brush over the top to bring out all that texture, but they didn't, and for some reason they did on the head sculpt. It is something I intend to fix, like I've already said, but for now, there's a mismatch, and the arms, they kinda blend in with the armor. He does have this floating gauntlet piece, and it is so annoying. I have heated it up and tried to sort of flex it in so it clamps tighter around his forearm, but it doesn't. It's free floating, and it falls off all the time. Like I said, super annoying. Plus, it is painted in the same way as the rest of the armor, meaning it's not blue, so it's wrong. I genuinely did try not to mention it again, but I failed. Just like Darkseid did when he first came to Earth. I am so sorry. Now, his skirt is robbery plastic, but even though it's a different material to the upper torso, it matches both in texture and in finish. Around the back, another robbery panel, and on the sides, 2 more robbery panels. Who would have guessed? His thighs are big and chunky, there are washes, and some lighter paint on the high spots, just like the arms. But once again, no dry brushing. Now, his knees are exposed, but luckily you can move his boot guard up to hide those joints almost entirely. Around the back, you will of course still see them, they're kind of ugly, but from the front, they look slightly more seamless. When you do move them up though, there is a bit of a gap down below, so you do have to futz with it to find a happy medium. It is a split cut boot design, and his shoe is very large. Around the front it is kind of bulbous, but I guess when you're kicking some serious butt like he does sometimes, then you will need a little bit of foot protection. And on the underside, nothing. It's completely smooth. If you are wondering what he looks like without the armor on, well, funny that, I am too. Okay, it isn't perfect, it was quite clearly designed with the armor in mind because he's very skinny, but then again, it's also totally displayable. He's got the big crater in his chest, just like in the movie, almost mimicking the Omega symbol. You have the gash on one trap that does look wet and glossy, like it's a fresh wound. Although if it was a fresh wound, in the movie it was gushing blood, he was bleeding out. So I would have liked to have seen a little bit of a trickle of blood down over his pecs. And now that we have removed the armor, that step down at the shoulder is way better, it's not such a huge deal. I've also removed those stupid gauntlets, which pretty much wanted to fall off anyway. Like I said, he is kinda skinny, but I can absolutely see this as an option in the display, after the dry brushing, because his head is a completely different color to the rest of the body. If they were going one way with the dry brushing, I don't know why they didn't match it, it's so perplexing. Let me know if this bothers you as much as it bothers me. I'm willing to bet though, it absolutely does. Now, to reinstall his armor, it's very simple. That's right, no snap transition, I'm going to show you how to do it. You want to slide these pieces over his straps, and this piece will sit down by his sides. Then for the next step, you ready? Blink and you'll miss it because it's super simple. You got some magnets and some pegs, and on this piece, the same exact thing. So what you want to do is push this in position, let the pegs and magnets do their job. And the last and easiest step, pop on the gauntlets. They're rubbery plastic, they'll slip in position. Now that we do have everything reassembled though, look how tight that seam is, it's super close together. And up the top, you almost wouldn't even believe that these two pieces separate, that's how well these pieces are engineered. For a quick side-by-side comparison, this is the moment you've been waiting for. This is the moment I've been waiting for. It's now my favorite comparison shot of all time. It's the entire Justice League minus Cyborg, Hot Toys, what the hell, where is he? And 108 Toys Darkseid standing together. As you can see, plain as day, Aquaman is tall, Batman is tall, heck, Superman is tall, but no one's as tall as Darkseid. He is a monster. As he should be. In the collection, this is exactly what I had in mind. Darkseid in the center and the League flanking him. And I tell you what, I cannot wait to get Steppenwolf. Yes, both the Whedon cut version and the Snyder cut version. I'm going to get both of them. We'll do a comparison and pick our favorite. Going over Articulation, bear in mind, this is my personal copy, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. Also, it's a brand new body, so I have no idea what to expect here. Starting off with the head sculpt, a fixed neck with a double ball peg. Looking forward to there, looking up to there, swivel and pivot side to side. The arms will go up to there, pegged in separately to the body, going forward and back. As far as I can tell, no butterfly joints. Single bend at the elbow that incorporates a swivel, getting you to 90. A hinge and swivel for the wrist peg with a ball joint at the end. Then the torso will crunch forward and back, swivel and pivot. The legs will go forward to there, limited of course by the rubbery skirt. Going out to there, swivel at the upper thigh. Single bend at the knee going to 90. A double ball peg for the ankle, for forward and back swivel, and pivot side to side. Wrapping up on 108 Toys Death God, aka Darkseid from Zack Snyder's Justice League. Potentially the Justice's grey version, because this guy is all kinds of shades of grey. He's pretty much black and white. Now, we do have some colour for his weapon and his eyes, but everything else is very grayscale. I'm not sure why the armor isn't blue and why there's not dry brushing on his skin, but luckily everything else is good. Is it good enough to warrant still picking this guy up? Well, that's gonna have to be up to you, my friend, but for me, it's a very reluctant yes. I want to say straight up no. I'm a stickler for accuracy. The armor has to be blue and he doesn't look as good as he should. But I can't find it in my heart to do that. This is the only 1/6 scale Darkseid that potentially we're ever going to get. And that's something that I'm not willing to risk missing out on, so that's why I picked him up. Yes, he's not perfect. Yes, he has his issues, but he's going to look so good standing alongside the rest of the league in my collection. Now, I got mine from toyswonderland.com. I have popped the link in the description below for your reference purposes only. This is not a promotional video. This is a review on a figure I picked up for my own personal collection. And yes, it is an unlicensed, unofficial figure at that. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.